Hi there, welcome to Gaining Vision. I'm Melanie. Thanks so much for clicking. To my returning subscribers, thank you for your continuous love and support. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please feel at home. Have you had an opportunity to subscribe to the channel yet? If not, take a second, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to like and share. Have you ever heard Minister Pandor, the South African Foreign Affairs Minister, speak? She's an exceptional speaker. She's well informed, very wise, and I was enthralled by a talk that she gave to a U.S. audience.
Well, I'm hoping that what's going to emerge is a refreshed partnership between the United States of America and Africa, because it has been in the doldrums for several years. And linked to that would be that at the center of the deliberations should be some of what we've discussed here, which is multilateral institutional reform, but also a focus on Africa's common agenda, which is Agenda 2063, and how we make that work. The third, for me, would be giving attention to the African Continental Free Trade Area, where the African continent is working hard at increasing intra-African trade, which is one of the lowest levels of trade within a continent that exists worldwide. So support for the necessary foundation to make the free trade area work would be very important. That would be in the range of infrastructure, development of appropriate payment systems, ensuring the customs regulators have the adequate administration capability in place to make a free trade area agreement work. So those, I hope, would be some of the areas. And of course, we must ensure that we have greater skills development on the continent. In critical skills areas, I don't think, we want more arts trainers, or sorry to the arts people. But I think science is very important, technology, engineering, because those are skills we desperately need. I think as well in the finance and economic sectors, we need highly trained people, then information and communication technology. So skills would be critical. And we've had, as South Africa, very good relations in the science and technology domain, very strong research partnerships between the United States and South Africa. I would like to see more centers of excellence on the African continent focused on research and innovation, because this is sorely needed. We've got to get Africa to be an independent actor in the world. And in order to arrive at that point, it needs support. So that would be, those are the notes I'm giving President Ramaphosa. I don't know which one of them you'll raise, but.
Thank you.
I wasn't surprised, though, however, about the interviewer. Again, trying to get their point of view across through the questioning. But Minister Pandor stayed strong, firm with her convictions, but also calm, cool, and collective. When she was asked about the relationships between South Africa and the U.S., the interviewer alluded that there was a rocky relationship, but in fact, Minister Pandor felt differently, and she said so.
So, Minister, just to get started, I want to talk about three issues: South Africa-U.S. bilateral relationships, global governance in this turbulent time, as well as a question of leadership. So, with U.S. South Africa relations, I would say that some, at least on this side of the ocean, would consider that the U.S. has, had a bit of a rocky relationship with South Africa. But you're here this week getting ready to meet with President Biden. So I'm wondering if you could tell us a bit about what are your goals here? What do you expect from the relationship? And to the degree that it's rocky or not, how can South Africa-U.S. relations improve?
Well, good afternoon, and afternoon to everybody who's joining us today. And thank you to the Council for inviting me to have this conversation. I don't think the relations between South Africa and the United States are rocky. In fact, they're very good. The United States is our third largest trading partner worldwide, China being number one. Europe, number 2, and then the United States. And we have very, very strong links in the business sector with a number of U.S. Multinational companies having establishments that are very successful in South Africa. And we really value that relationship. Politically, we relate very well, I think probably better with the Democrats than the Republicans, but certainly very good relations. You'll all recall how President Trump described Africa, and no one has apologized for that as yet. So with United States, the country, I think there are very good established relations, which are proceeding extremely well.
When enticed by perspective of the interviewer in several topics, including power, as well as asking for different initiatives, differences of opinion, the interviewer came hard. But Minister Pandor stayed so calm and carried on. She informed the interviewer based on her knowledge and experience.
So let me just push again hard, because I like the discussion and I like debate on global governance. Right now, you know, in 1945, when the Bretton Woods institutions started coming into formation, most of Africa was colonized. So didn't really have a say in the design and the setup of those institutions. And of course, those who won the war took the power. Now today, we're in a very turbulent time. Pandemic recovery and preparedness. We have the Ukraine-Russia war in Europe. We have geostrategic competition between the United States and China. Things are moving. And you had said in one of a speech that you gave, asking for more resources for South Africa's diplomacy in this time, you said transformation of the global system of governance must move from based on power to one based on rules. And we all talk about a rule-based international system, and we need to adhere to a rule-based international system. But truthfully, in state relations, power and rules guide these decisions. So how does South Africa leverage its participation in many forums, the G20, the G7, the BRICS, the African Union, SADC, to try to have influence on the establishment of what the new rules of the game will be and how the power dynamics will come out in favor of the African continent, not just South Africa, having more say, more influence on those very things that you just talked about?
Well, I think it can't just be South Africa. It has to be South Africa along with SADC, for example, or South Africa's with the entire African Union, all of us in the G20. What we've been able to do in the G20 and as an invited participant in the G7 is to place Africa on the agenda of those formations. So it's important that South Africa is there, but it must always realize it's there on behalf of Africa and not on behalf of South Africa only. So that's very, very important. Second, I think this notion of international rules is very comfortable for some people to use when it suits them, but they don't believe in international rules when it doesn't suit them, because they don't apply international rules or law equally in all circumstances. So you can't say because Ukraine has been invaded that suddenly sovereignty is important, but it was never important for Palestine. It's very peculiar. If you believe in international law truly, then wherever sovereignty is infringed, it must apply. And this is the point we've been making, that we use the framework of international law unequally, depending on who is affected. And we are arguing that that must change. And one of the interesting changes that has occurred is the sudden movement, because Russia has invaded Ukraine, that we say, okay, let's not allow the Security Council to just have the veto and let it pass. We take it to the General Assembly. When some of us had been calling for the General Assembly to have a greater say, we never enjoyed support. But suddenly today, See, that's where international law begins to mean nothing. Because for some, we see it as a cheating, and for others, we see it as a benefit. So our argument is let's revise the international multilateral system to ensure that we observe that post-1948 has arrived.
There was no question in my mind that Minister Pandor was educating the crowd as well as the interviewer. And you could tell the interviewer, although trying to push her target agenda through her questions and questioning of her responses.
Yes, yeah, I hear you, but you know, the sort of rules-based and normative part of it does help keep things within some guardrails to a degree.
No, absolutely. I mean, one wouldn't deny that there should be rules.
Right, no.
But it can't be that when it's this referee, that rule is okay, and then if it's a different referee, that rule, that's
except
what
for
we
when
don't
it's
like.
countries with power.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's
power,
the geostrategic.
Your power must lie in the degree to which everybody feels represented.
True.
If your power lies in you having authority over everybody and bullying, you're not really powerful, you're a bully.
Yeah, but Minister, you're not, because what you're doing is building an alliance around interests, right? And there's very few countries that strike out alone. They strike out with many others with them who may disagree with another set of alliance partners. That is sort of also one of the rules of the international system that has always been there.
Well, Ambassador, I think
yes.
the courage we must have, and hopefully the Council would lead on it, is we must change the philosophy. The philosophical orientation has to change toward the greater good.
It was clear she knew she was beat when she finally agreed to disagree.
Minister, I'm gonna do something that I learned in South Africa when I was ambassador there, which is agree to disagree. This is what I learned in South Africa, and we'll come back to the topic. And the topic being where the disagreement is that
I found this very enlightening because despite her being the ambassador to South Africa previously, she knew that although she thought she was asking hard questions, she was trying to gear the conversation to go her way. But Minister Pandor would have nothing to do with it. She stayed her course, stayed on what was important and what she wanted to get accomplished. She spoke about leadership, and this really resonated with me. The importance of mentorship, education, honesty, and public service.
What core principles of leadership have sustained you through all of these impressive positions, difficult positions, both on the political side as an ANC member, as well as on the public service side as a government official?
Well, let me say I learned a lot of my lessons outside South Africa, because I lived outside our country for many years due to my family, my parents being exiles. And one of the sites where I learned a great deal was when I had the privilege of being selected to study at Bryn Mawr. And a group of South African women in the higher education sector were invited to participate in a fellows program. And in that program, I learned about mentorship, about how you manage power, and about how it's important to always learn. So learning is important. I think leaders who don't read are really dangerous. So learning is very, very vital. Two, the word public service was not chosen loosely. It really does mean you are there to serve the public, not yourself. And where many leaders fail us is that they believe they're there for themselves. They don't believe in public service. They believe in public serving me. So I think public service must be a real meaning for you. And then finally, just working with integrity and honesty, hopefully, because there's nothing worse than a corrupt leader.
These are all exceptional things that all good leaders need to have. And it made me pause and think for a moment. Are the leaders in our world currently possessing all of these factors? I really don't think so. Minister Pandor is wise, and she's definitely well equipped with lots of experience and education to back her statements. I'm hoping that the interview will take some time and reflect on this interview, because clearly, although she had a set agenda, it didn't go the way she wanted it to. I encourage you to check this video out because you'll be educated. You will see the way a good, prepared leader can handle any interviewer with grace, dignity, and style. Thank you so much, Minister Pandor, for the way you present yourself and for always staying the course. Do me a second. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if not, perhaps notification would be more of your taste. Go ahead, hit that notification button so you'll be notified each and every time I upload new content. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.